vagina is a shell. A round, pink, tender shell, opening and closing, closing and opening. My vagina is a flower, an eccentric tulip. The center acute and deep, the scent delicate, the petals gentle, but sturdy. I did not always know this. I learned this in the Vagina Workshop. I learned this from the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop, a woman who believes in vaginas, who really sees vaginas, who helps other women see their own vaginas by seeing other women's vaginas. In the first session, we were asked to draw a picture of what our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina looked like. That's what she called it. The woman who runs the Vagina Workshop wanted to know what her own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina looked like to us. One woman who was pregnant drew a big red mouth screaming, with coins spilling out. Another very skinny woman drew a big serving plate with a kind of Devonshire pattern on it. I drew this. A big black dot with lots of squiggly lines around it. The black dot is equal to a black hole in space, and the squiggly lines are meant to be people or things, or just your basic atoms that got lost there. I had always thought of my vagina as an anatomical vacuum randomly sucking up objects and particles from the surrounding environment. I did not think of it in practical or biological terms. I did not, for example, see it as something attached to me. In the workshop, we were asked to look at our vaginas with hand mirrors, and then after careful examination, we were to verbally report to the group what we saw. I must tell you that up until this point, everything I knew about my vagina was based on hearsay or invention. I had never really seen the thing. It had never occurred to me to look at it. My vagina existed for me on some abstract plane. It seemed so reductive and awkward, looking at it like we were on our shiny blue mats with our hand mirrors. It reminded me of how the early astronomers must have felt with their primitive telescopes. I found it quite unsettling at first. My vagina. Like the first time you see a fish cut open, and you discover this other, bloody, complex world right underneath the skin. It was so raw, so red, so fresh. And the thing that surprised me most of all was all the layers. Layers inside layers, opening into more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop called vaginal wonder. I just wanted to lay down on my mat, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever. It was better than the Grand Canyon, ancient and full of grace. It had all the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny, very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek, open and close. And then the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop asked us how many of us had orgasms. 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I didn't raise my hand, but I had orgasms. I didn't raise my hand because they were accidental orgasms. They happened to me. They happened in my dreams, and I would wake in splendor. They happened a lot in water, mostly in the bath, once in Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, sometimes on the treadmill at the gym. I didn't raise my hand because although I had had orgasms, I didn't know how to make one happen. It was a mystical, magical thing. I didn't want to interfere. It felt wrong getting involved, contrived, manipulative. It felt Hollywood. The surprise would be gone, and the mystery. Problem, of course, was the surprise had been gone for 2 years. I hadn't had one of my magical accidental orgasms in a long time. And I was frantic. That's why I was in the Vagina Workshop. And then the moment arrived that I both dreaded and longed for. The woman who runs the Vagina Workshop asked us to take out our hand mirrors again and to see if we could locate our clitoris. There we were, the group of us women, on our backs, on our mats, searching for our spots, our locus, our reason, and I don't know why, but I started crying. Maybe it was sheer embarrassment. Maybe it was knowing I was going to have to give up the fantasy, the enormous, life-consuming fantasy that somebody was going to do this for me, that somebody was direction, to lead my life, to give me orgasms. I felt the panic coming, the simultaneous terror and realization that I avoided finding my clitoris, had rationalized it as mainstream and consumers because I was in fact terrified that I did not have a clitoris, terrified that I was one of those constitutionally incapables, one of those frigid, dead, dry, shut down, apricot tasting bitter, oh my God! I lay there on my mat, reaching with my fingers, searching for my spot, and the only thing I could think about was the time when I was 10 and I lost my gold ring with the emeralds on it in a lake swimming one time, how I kept diving over and over to the bottom of the lake, running my hands over stones and fish and bottle caps and slimy stuff, but never my ring. The panic I felt. I knew I'd be punished. The woman who runs the vagina workshop saw my insane, scrambling, sweating, and heavy breathing. She came over. I told her, it's gone, I've lost my clitoris, I shouldn't have won it swimming! She laughed at me. She calmly stroked my forehead. She told me my clitoris was not something I could lose. It was me, the essence of me. It was both the doorbell to the house and the house itself. I didn't have to find it. I had to be it. Be it. Be my clitoris. Be my clitoris. I lay back. I closed my eyes. Put down the hand mirror. I watched myself floating above myself. I watched as I slowly approached myself and re-entered. It was quiet, this re-entry. Quiet and gentle. I felt like an astronaut re-entering the surface of the earth. I bounced and landed and bounced. I came into my own muscles and blood and cells, and I slid into my vagina. It was suddenly easy, and I fit. I was all warm and pulsing and ready and young and alive, and then suddenly, without looking, with my eyes still closed, I put my finger on what had suddenly become me. There was a little quivering at first, which urged me to stay, and then the quivering became a quake, an eruption, the layers dividing and subdividing, and then the quaking broke open into an ancient horizon of light and silence, which opened onto a plane of colors and music and innocence and longing, and I felt connection, calling connection, as I lay there, thrashing about on my little blue mat. My vagina is a shell, a tulip, and a destiny. I'm arriving as I'm beginning to leave.